Hi, and welcome to Curious Conversations, the podcast where curiosity meets connection. Thanks for joining as we discuss captivating stories and ideas and engage in thought-provoking conversations with experts, enthusiasts, and everyday people. We hope to ignite a curious spirit as we embark on a quest for understanding, one curious conversation at a time. So let's jump in this together. Welcome to the world of Curious Conversations. Hello, and welcome to Curious Conversations. We are your hosts, Carly and Mandy, and this week we are talking about collections.
Well, you know I love collections. So
Yes.
we've talked about that quite a bit. We've talked about collecting, but not really on here. We've kind of touched on that a little bit, but I'm excited for a fresh discussion.
Yeah, and I feel like this is right up both of our alleys. People love to collect, and we definitely fall into that category. But collecting is really not a new thing. Just in kind of researching for this episode, I discovered that archaeologists found like 105,000 years ago, people were collecting. And the first kind of discovery of that was some crystals that were found in the Kalahari region of South Africa. And they knew that there was no way they had, they weren't indigenous to that area. So they knew humans brought these, which is really cool. I mean, way back, we're collected. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. And it makes me think, like, what is the mindset there? Because people have different reasons for collecting. Did they think they wouldn't see that thing again? It was something not from their region. So they wanted to, they wanted to keep that with them so they could have that memory, the keepsake kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But, I mean, you can collect and collect and collect, and then you're going to die and they're going to stay there for somebody to find later. But, collecting is really, it's kind of like human instinct. It's just something we do. And I think that probably is just, it's always been a thing. That was more of a survival thing at some point. Our ancestors needed to accumulate objects and things that would be scarce later. And we've just turned that into something totally different because we don't really have to collect things for survival reasons. We have, Target and Publix. So we
Right.
still have that need to collect things.
So you can always collect and purge. That's
Yeah.
a good practice.
Yeah, do a lot of that too.
Yep. Then you get all the things and then you get to, share the things with somebody else.
That's exactly right. That's right. Well, listen, before we really dive into this collecting thing, we do want to share with you guys this week's curious dish. So, this is part of our show where we dish about the most curious thing we've seen this week. Mandy, what you got?
Okay. So you're going to know this when I say it. But I thought it's a perfect fit. We came across an abandoned statuary.
Yes.
How much did you love that place?
I mean, that was just amazing. We took, and it was raining that day, but we
It
took
was
amazing
raining.
photos.
We did. So we're going to have to share some of that. And, there's these, I don't think I've ever seen that before. So as you know, there's these collections out here of, it's religious statues. It's, there was like a cowboy head. There's the
Yes.
animals, there's everything. And there were little groups of those, which made the perfect pictures. I'm actually hoping to frame a couple of those.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yep.
You know, I'm gonna post some of those on our Facebook page because it was really cool. Like you've got to see it to understand just how cool it was. And maybe Mandy can make us a TikTok because she's like our TikTok queen. If you have not checked out our TikTok channel, go look at it because she makes some cool ones.
Oh, well, these were great. These made it easy, because they were aged perfectly. They've been out in the weather. I'm not sure how long this has been abandoned, but we did the right thing and we made the phone call and we made sure we could get those shots.
Absolutely. No trespassing.
That's right. What about
Okay,
you?
yours is so I don't know, it's cool and it's just really clean. I'm gonna go over on the side of just weird things that I want to have, and I don't even know why. And I sent this to you. So Mandy, I know you've seen The Shining. Well, I discovered that you can actually buy like a little trinket toy type thing, but it's Wendy's cigarette ash. So I think it's rubber. It's like just a little keepsake rubber, I don't know, commemorative thing for The Shining, but it's from the part of the movie where she's smoking a cigarette, but the it's just like 2.5 inches long. It's about to fall at any moment. And you can buy that and just stick it on your shelf. How cool would that be?
I know. I think that's hilarious. And it's kind of become its own meme. But I'm wondering back in the day when that movie was released, did anybody note that? Did they think that was funny or weird back then? Was everybody letting their ash just hang on?
I don't know, but that's some great questions we need to ask.
Yeah. Oh,
All
get right on
right.
that.
Yeah, right. Let's talk a little about collecting because I found some weird stuff. People collect some strange things. And I don't have any of these things in my collection, but I know one of these that you may have in yours.
Okay.
But let's kick it off with airplane barf bags.
Oh my gosh.
That's a real thing. So I didn't actually want to say the word barf. I was like, should I just say throw up bags?
We all know it's a barf bag, okay?
Yeah, yeah, that's what it's called. Well, there is a virtual museum for air sickness bags. And there are people that they actually go out and pay money to buy these. They're actually called baggists. The people that
Oh,
collect those bags, yeah, they have a whole little thing, but they're collecting more of those the whimsical, the ones from the past. So now, I mean, you're out of luck. It's not going to be as pretty and fun. But they used to have, they'd have celebrities on them, and at least the airline name, or they were fun, and they're actually, it's kind of like artwork, sort of, but you know what they're there for. But yeah, that's people collect these, and I'm talking like thousands of these.
okay. So you're not talking about used bags.
No, no, I hope there are no used bags.
You know how people like to have things of other people? I didn't know how weird this was going to get.
Just got really, really weird, really fast.
Yeah, because that's pretty disgusting.
Well, I will say there are two. So if you collect these or you happen to have any of these in your attic, there are two that are highly sought after, and you could probably get a ton of money for them. One is the Beastie Boys,
Wow.
licensed to ill. That's literally what it says. So,
Okay, I'm a big Beastie Boys fan. That was not at the top of my list for things to have of the Beastie Boys.
well, I mean, if you get your hands on one of those, it might be your lucky day. The other is I survived the Clinton White House. If you have either of those barf bags, you've hit the lottery.
Okay, I don't have those.
I have no barf bags. None.
Nope, I don't really want a barf bag. That's not really aesthetically pleasing, or that's just, and I have collected some weird, but these are not my kind of weird, I don't think.
You know what I think of when I see them? It doesn't like I don't think, oh, open that and throw up in it. I think of popcorn bags, which is not that's the opposite.
Oh my goodness. We're such a spoiled society. Look at what we're doing. We're just
Yes.
we're going for anything.
Yes. Okay, well, the next like strange thing that I found that people will collect is hair. Not just any hair. So there's actually a gentleman in the Guinness World Record. His collection is made up of celebrity hair. And so he has a patch of Elvis Presley's hair. I believe he paid $15,000 for it. Um, which is weird because he has Michael Jackson's, which I thought would bring in probably not as much as Elvis Presley, but pretty close. But Michael Jackson, he was able to add that to his collection for 2 grand.
Oh,
So who knew? I don't know what the difference is. But it goes back to the Victorian age where a snippet of hair was kind of the equivalent of um like an autograph, what we would think of as an
okay.
autograph nowadays. So yeah.
Well, that's I've got some hair. I have a couple of people's hair.
Yes, you do. We've talked
Yeah.
about that.
I know. I think we should have each other's hair. Is that weird?
No, I don't think that's cool.
Okay, well we'll set that up.
Yeah, next haircut, I'm on it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I have my son's hair, like first haircut, and I have my dad's first haircut, a
Yeah.
little piece, and I may or may not have once given someone a bag of my hair,
Okay.
a whole
All
bag,
right. A whole bag of it, just in case.
just in case.
Just in case. Well, I think our hair probably wouldn't sell well
Mm,
online, but there is a gentleman who has very expensive hair, and I'll tell you, I found there's two. One is Justin Bieber. He has Justin Bieber's locks, and that was a $40,000 purchase. $40,000.
okay, that's some hair. Yeah, I'm probably not getting that for mine. If I am, then they can have all of it.
I'll shave it off. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, we'll do that right
But
now.
the highest price of all was Marilyn Monroe, which I just think is super cool.
Yeah,
Um,
if I had some money, sure.
yeah, absolutely. If I just had money to blow, it was snipped after she sang "Happy Birthday" to President Kennedy, so that's pretty nifty, and it sold for record topping $331,000.
Oh my gosh. And you know what that makes me think of? One of the other aspects of collecting is it's like you're sort of absorbing something of somebody else when you've got these personal artifacts,
Yep.
which can be to kind of, in someone's memory, but it also can kind of sound like a stalker.
Sound crazy.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's different. That's different.
That is very different. I don't know which is worse, the hair or the barf bags, but the third one definitely probably just tops the charts for me. Um, the third one, if anyone has ever said, "Why do you collect all this crap?" Um, that was definitely true of George Franzen. This is a gentleman that collected poop.
Oh,
Fossilized. Fossilized feces. Um, he has a museum, and I love this so much. Do you know what he calls it?
no.
He calls it his Pooseum. Yes, he
Oh
calls
my
it a
gosh. So
Pooseum.
it's got to be fossilized because you don't want it messy, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't even know if you could keep it otherwise. Surely not. I don't know.
Yeah.
He did say, he said, he's got like 5,000 different specimens of fossilized poop. But he said, it's they're very old, it's fossilized. So it's more like, if anyone sees it, they're not thinking, oh, there's poop. They think rocks. It just looks like a rock. And so that was very interesting. But he definitely warns about going online and buying them because you'll get a fake. So watch out
Oh
when you're
my
buying your
gosh.
poop.
Oh
You don't
yeah,
wanna
I
get a
guess
fake.
I'm thinking if you've taken the step that you've decided poop, that's where I want to go with this. I'm gonna add this to the shelf, put this on the mantle, then you want it to be real, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I want it authenticated. I wanna know what they had for lunch.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Where did this idea come from? Like, how is this thing at all?
Right. I don't know, I don't know, like, maybe maybe you just find one and think, "I need to add to my collection. I need more of those." I don't know.
Yeah, where do you get that? So you get it and then it fossilizes, or you do it, you
Oh,
get it once it's fossilized? What is this process?
I want it already dried. I
Yeah,
there
ready
could
to
be no
go.
smell.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Mandy, you're the queen of collecting, and you have a Facebook Live show that we've talked about here on the podcast called The Collector. And you do a lot of collecting, and not just stuff. You collect stories, and I find it fascinating. It's probably my favorite thing to do is to watch The Collector. And so let's second, take a second to talk about that, just in case no one's familiar with what that is.
Yeah, so basically I do live stream. It used to be every Thursday and now it sort of varies because the whole thing has spread out, but into some other, aspects of the collector. But so I would show something from my collection and some, a curious item, whether that's an antique or, I started out with my grandmother's kidney stone. So that was the first one.
Yes, yes. I'm going to talk a little more about that in a second.
Yeah, and so it just sort of went from there, and then I would have three curious items that I would auction off. Since then, that's sort of morphed into some other things, some in-person events, and now I have those curious items at the Collector's Curiosity Shop in downtown Adairsville. So I was able to open up a place. To showcase more than just the few items every week. And that's really exciting. But I always love the stories because the stories, people collect stories. That's one of the older things to collect too. And I love to hear about curious things. Obviously, that's what we're doing here. But yeah, I've came across some people with some very interesting collections, way more interesting than what I have.
So you've had people on your show I mean, it just blows my mind at some of the things people collect, and in a capacity that I would have never thought of. You have the coolest people on your show. You've got a great following. And I bought a lot of stuff from the collector. Like, I love it. Everything you put out, you source it and you put a lot of thought into it. Um, and it's just some of the coolest, weirdest things that I'm totally into. So tell us about some of your guests. What have you seen? Come on.
Okay. Well, you mentioned Marilyn Monroe before. I had someone own before that did not have a large collection, but they had an item, and sometimes it's like that. And it was one of those little mini calendars with Marilyn Monroe. And of course, it was a nude, so she had little stickers placed
Oh,
strategically.
uh-huh.
But, if I would have had money in hand, I would have tried to talk her out of that thing because it was an original and it was one of the calendars where, you tear the little page off and just really cute. But so there's things like that are interesting. But then I've had some, I guess more unique things, some macabre things, some darker art. I had someone who shared their whole house is basically a collection, and
Yeah.
I'm looking to do an episode on that. And I'll just mention something from that house was um a the whole doorway to like a hall was a guillotine, and below it was a basket with like a little homemade head where they had placed their collection of teeth within the head.
Yes. Coolest thing I've ever seen, by the way.
Oh
It
yeah.
sounds crazy. It's absolutely cool.
Yeah, it's very creative, and so I appreciate that. But some people have just some weird things, and they're not multiples of the same thing, but they just have some strange things. We talked about the kidney stone, and me and you had a little connection. If you want to share.
Yeah, that's one of my top ones. So I thought maybe we could just kind of share, hey, what's three things out of your collection that you just love or you think is really cool? And that's my number three on my list is I do have a kidney stone. It is my kidney stone.
I would keep
Um,
that too.
it was, I just thought I'd like to have that, you know, it passed at the doctor's office, so it was in a little collection cup thingy that they have you go in. Um, yeah, and I had to ask, "Can I keep that?"
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's yours, you know?
That's that's right. It wasn't that gross. So
Yeah.
I brought it home and I got it.
No, I get it. I said I have my grandmother's and it's in a little vial and it was on the shelf when I was growing up and it was with her nice Fenton glassware and there was there was the kidney stone and that's the kind of thing I love, the mashup of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think probably something else that I love. So I love old photographs. Um, I don't I don't know why, it doesn't have to be someone I know, just those older looking photographs almost that are coming apart at the edges, and you just you're it's a glimpse into someone's life. And I know I'm not the only one. I actually spoke with a shop owner to see, if he had any, and he said, every time one comes in, there's this one lady that is on the call list. She buys them up. But she said she had a very, very long hallway, and every time he had an old photo come in, she'd buy it, frame it, and throw it on her wall, and she called it her instant family.
I love that. Oh, yeah, I love that.
I thought it was really cute, and so, I'm gonna brag on you as a friend. You are so good with buying gifts, and this year for my birthday, you gave me the most amazing photo albums. They are old photo albums that like the old school ones where you wedge the photo in there, and they're gonna be perfect for all of my old photos, so
I'm glad you liked it because when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it was a collection of the albums. You usually don't see that. You might, catch one or something like that. But yeah, I was totally excited about that for you.
yep. Yep. I'm gonna leave them for, my kids and grandkids and great grandkids to go, "Who are these people?"
Who is
Let
that?
them
How
try
many
to figure
cousins
it
do I
out.
have? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And then, my last, and then we'll go on to yours. My last one, um, is a lunchbox, and I keep it on my shelf. I could see it all the time, but, it actually came from a store that's in the town that I live in, and it belonged to a little girl that was murdered in this town, back in the was it 70s?
Yes.
Believe late 70s she was murdered. Um, terrible, terrible story, and I don't like that part of the story. Um, but, it's a piece of the history of the town I live in, and it's got her little name on a label on the front, those old, old school labels that, you can kinda they almost feel like, they're raised and you can see her little name on there. It's sweet, and it's just a reminder of her and the fact that she lived in this town and she caught the bus and went to the local school, and it's just something that I really, really like. So that's probably my number 1.
Well, that makes me think about when I say I like to collect and what stands out to me of something to collect. It is something that gives me an intense feeling about.
Yes.
And so when you talk about that lunchbox, it brings about just seeing that. It brings about a
Mhm.
lot of emotion. And so to me, when I pick something, whether it's a rock or feather or just the things out in nature, or I'm at something like the Oddities and Curiosities Expo we went to, and you see all these just over the top things, or maybe
Yes.
it's just something that's sensitive to you from your childhood. Any of those things, what it's doing is every time you look at it, it's calling on an emotion of feeling something that it brings up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what collecting is to me. And so when you say that about the lunchbox or any of the things you talked about, it's because it's tapping some sort of emotion. It's something that makes you feel a certain way. And sometimes things are just so over the top. We've seen a lot of that, and you think, "Oh, I want my hands on that," because it's just wild.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely different sides of it. You know, a lot of it is people are chasing like that the nostalgia of something.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people will collect things that they've seen in their lifetime, you know, something you saw at grandma's house. And
Yep.
there's definite strong feeling attached to that and that nostalgia. But, you know, there are just some things that are just weird and you get that little, you know, that little fix of weirdness from that
Mhm.
collection. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes that dies off, and that's when I was talking about purging. Sometimes later on I think I can let go of that. But, it's the weird or the something that's specific to me. It spoke to me, and it might not be something that everybody else wants.
Right. Absolutely.
So I collect boxes, which is not weird per se. You actually got me a really cool box before that had all 80s stuff in it, and I loved it. It's like a little plunder box, and there's, you know, all kinds of little clippings and just different little items, keychains, and such from the time period. And I still get that out sometimes and just kind of go through it. So, yeah, I
Oh, that's
love
awesome.
that. Yeah. So it's the cigar box and I have other boxes like that. I have some that have been passed down in my family and my husband's family. And inside of those, I put the weird things or the trinkets or the it might not be what was passed down, but I have a mix of that. So the boxes themselves aren't odd. The things I put inside of those sometimes are different. Um so one of those boxes has my great grandmother's stuff, but she would roll over in her grave. There is also a chicken hand in there, the little chicken foot.
That's the coolest.
Yeah, it's a little chicken foot. And so she would just be appalled. But that is in that box. And so that's
You have a
a
beaver paw, so I don't think that's too
see.
weird.
Yes. So, I was gonna say I do have some other little animal things, and they all have stories, but that's a strange thing that I collect. I have a possum paw, and so I've got a little possum paw, and then I have in school when we were made to do the in science class, you got to dissect the frog or whatever. I have
Mhm.
a little piece of my frog. I
You
kept a
do.
I kept a piece of the skin.
You know, I didn't get to dissect a frog. My teacher, she was not into that. She said, "No, we don't kill frogs." So we did an earthworm.
Yeah, well, we did that too, and we did starfish, but, I
Oh.
felt the need to keep that, and that's one of those things I think is, like, absorbing the memory. There's a fine line between that and crazy and, dangerous and hoarder,
Yeah,
you know? You gotta keep
right.
an eye on that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, but those are my little animal things, so I have those, and those, I guess, would be deemed weird. Um, I've known a lot of people who collected things that you talked about the barf bags. Doesn't seem like anything that stands out of any interest. But my great grandmother, she collected the little meat trays, that your ground
Oh,
beef comes in,
yeah.
the little styrofoam. So she cleaned those up and she did drawing. She did paintings on those.
Okay, you've told me that before.
Yeah, so she would collect those. So that would go in the wash, like put that in the
Mhm.
sink to wash. And she would stack those things up. And when she felt ready, she would do her own little paint, which was she would draw the faces. It was almost always faces with an ink pen, which is strangely satisfying to draw on styrofoam with a ballpoint pen.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
haven't tried that, try that out.
Okay.
And then she would add her own makeup to the face. So
Oh,
she would put on the little, it was rouge to her, she would put that on and she would put on like the foundation and make these little meat trays. And I wished I had one because I don't know what made her think to do that, but she collected those things up. And when she was ready, she would draw.
you know, I think that's so cool. My daughter actually used to paint on pizza boxes. So, we'd
Oh,
order a pizza and she was in there cutting the top off. She especially liked Papa John's because there's was white on the back of the top of the box, and so
yeah.
she would cut that out, and I've got a couple of those. She even did a big nautical scene, and it's circular. It looks almost like the window on a ship, and there's an octopus on it. She did a great job with those, and it was so much cheaper than going out, and buying massive amounts of art supplies. So,
Yeah.
oh,
Did it come with that little garlic aroma?
that's right. Little pepperoncini.
Yeah. Okay, that's neat. So I've never heard of anybody else using a different kind of canvas like that. So I love that.
Yeah, save money when you can.
That's right. Yeah. So, anything else that you can think of that, I guess, what would you collect if money allowed, if time allowed, if there were
Mm.
nothing to block you from collecting? Is there something big?
Okay, yes. And this will go back to that, the nostalgia thing. If I had just an endless supply of money, and time, because this would take time, I think it would be really cool to purchase either my childhood home or where my grandparents lived, uh, and switch it back. Like go find the
Ooh.
couch that, I had when I was 7, that probably brown with the weird flowers on it. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yep.
curtains and what would have been in the bathroom, what cans would have been in the cabinets. I think that would be so cool and would definitely, ping that need for that nostalgia, that feeling of this was my childhood. I'd have to have, a bunch of Lisa Frank stickers. You have those.
Yep.
Buttons.
Yeah.
Buttons were a big thing. He had a
Oh,
ton of
yeah.
buttons. Yeah. What about you?
Okay, you're gonna think this is crazy because I can't believe you just said what you said. And somebody else is like, "Oh, this is scripted." No, check this out. So mine is to own homes, like all kinds of homes because I'm seeing houses all the time. And I actually went into real estate before and realized, no, I just love houses. That does not mean that I want to do all this other stuff that goes with that.
Right.
But I would like to have all the money that I can get all these different kinds of houses because I obviously can't just keep moving into houses. So I would have that property, but beyond that, I watched a movie last night that I had seen before. It's a comedic sort of drama called Mother. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's from the early 90s, I believe.
I don't
Um,
think so.
so the guy literally moves back home, recreates his space, his room as a teenager, because he wants to discover his issues with his mom. And he thinks that will open up some things by having it set up. And he replaces everything that's been put away in the garage, the attic, or whatever to recreate his room. So that is so weird that you just said that.
It's creepy. Look at us.
I know.
Okay, well, I guess that's my next movie night.
Yeah, yeah. So it's fun. It's like it's kind of dry, quirky humor. And it's really like day-to-day life, just a natural funny in that way. But he's trying to discover why him and his mom have so many. And he's like, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 50. I'm horrible at guessing age, but he's trying to figure out what went wrong with his recent divorce and his problems with his mom. So he goes back home, but he takes everything and puts it the memory in his head of where everything was, he puts that right back.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yep.
You mentioned buying houses and collecting houses. I think that would be so fun to buy strange, it wouldn't have to necessarily be a traditional home, just to buy places and renovate them, and Airbnb them out because there are some of the coolest Airbnbs out there where people have just set things up to look like you're in a completely different world. And maybe that's another episode. Maybe we need to do like a curious Airbnb episode.
I think so because I do have us a motel that they have. It's not too far from where we are that I thought we would go visit, and it's all retro. They've redone this
Yes.
roadside motel, all retro. And oh, yeah, I think this sounds good. Something this summer.
Look at us. We keep coming up with episodes in our episodes. So
That's right. That's how cool we are.
Well, folks, if you have a collection that you think is odd, cool, just fascinating, whatever you got, we want to know about it. Definitely make sure you reach out to us. You can reach us by email, but follow us on social media. We love to be active out on the social media world. So find us on there and absolutely drop us a line. Let us know about what you collect. And maybe we'll come visit it. We like to do visits.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Well, listen, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, where we post exclusive content, contests, and so much more. And of course, you can keep up with our episodes through Podbean or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And as always, if you have a story that sparks curiosity or you have something that you want us to talk about, just shoot us an email to ourcuriouspodcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.